I'm gonna move on down that line and find me somebody else to love. I'm gonna move on down that line.
For his first national tour in 1958, Britain's fledgling rock idol Cliff Richard needed new members for the Drifters. He auditioned the very best the Two Eyes Coffee Bar had to offer. The new combination, renamed Cliff Richard and the Shadows, proved explosive.
We were listening to the Everly Brothers, Buddy Holly, Elvis,
Gene Vincent, Eddie Cochran,
Bill Haley, Fats Domino, Little Richard, Jerry Lee Lewis.
You know, we took from everywhere. We stole from everything.
The new electric act grabbed the attention of tough agent supremo Tito Burns, a man with his own plans for the ambitious young rock singer.
I had a good look at Cliff, and I liked what I saw. I could see so much potential. And in fact, he was so receptive, you know, I mean, you only had to tell him once.
And as ever, the respectful Cliff Richard listened. Tito became another important influence on his steep career curve, pushing Cliff even more to the fore as the country fell under the spell of a phenomenon that was to prove the precursor of Beatlemania, Cliff-mania.
Come on over, a whole lot of shit going on. Shake it, baby, shake. Shake it, baby, shake. Shake it, baby, shake. Shake it, baby, shake. Come on over.
It was sort of every girl's dream. It just, you know, the sight of Cliff would make a 16-year-old's legs just wobble.
It used to annoy us a little bit because we would rehearse for hours and hours and hours, you know, doing these elaborate arrangements of really great sort of things that we thought were worth listening to, and we'd go on with Cliff, and of course the whole place would break down and they'd be just screaming.
On some occasions, it was terrifying. We'd get somewhere like Manchester or Birmingham, and it was almost mayhem and lunacy. There were girls being carried away on stretchers, and there were ambulances, and there were mounted police.
Cliff mania wasn't just a phenomenon in Britain. On his first tour of South Africa in 1961, the singer was mobbed. But in contrast to his sexy, dangerous rock and roll persona, offstage, a reserved Cliff kept himself to himself.
I think he was out of his depth completely, and this is perhaps why he kept quite private. It wasn't a way of life that he was prepared for.
He was old-fashioned. I mean, he was called Harry Webb. I mean, I've never met anyone called Harry in my whole life, really. I mean, except an old man.
The Shadows reflected that Cliff seemed to have lost his youth. He'd sacrificed his youth to be a pop idol.
But a pop idol with a difference. Despite being Mr. Eligible, Cliff seemed to shy away from the girls, as if to stay faithful to his loyal, adoring and possessive fans. Unlike fellow 50s rock and roller Marty Wilde, whose career crumbled overnight when he married.
Happy to be your bachelor boy until my dying day.
He never had a girlfriend. You know, I'll keep reading about she was the girlfriend. So he was not concerned with any of that. The genders don't mean a thing to him. Like, you know, he's not concerned about women. Never was.
If he did have any girlfriends, they were all sort of not talked about and rejected in the end, I think.
Cliff had a very close relationship with his mother, which I think precluded any chance ever of there being a girlfriend.
While his father provided career guidance, Cliff's mother was the focus of his emotional life. In spite of his fame and fortune, Cliff still lived at home, and girlfriends were extremely rare. One such rarity was Delia Wicks. She worked as a singer and dancer with Cliff at the London Palladium in 1960. Their relationship was, until recently, a closely guarded secret.
When the show closed, he rang me up all of a sudden out of the blue and said, Delia, I've got to come over and see you. And I thought, God, my heart was going so far. And he came early in the morning because nobody would see him, you know, about 6 o'clock. and parked the car outside. This was the thing, everybody knew the car. But he only came early morning, and as soon as he arrived, he had to phone his mother to let him know where he was. I remember his mother said, "Don't get too fond of Cliff, because he's got his career ahead of him." And I said, "Well, that's up to Cliff, isn't it, to make his own mind up?" And she said, "Well, I'm just warning you, you know, telling you." Because she used to come to the cinema and everything. She used to always come with his 3 sisters, and he used to go, "Oh, Mum's coming," and she'd be sat on the front row with us in the circle.
By 1960, a short-sighted British press was already prophesying the imminent death of rock and roll. But Cliff was prepared to go wherever his fans would lead him.
How long do you think you can last as a rock and roll singer?
Well, I don't really know. It's very hard to say, because in this business, whether you're a rock and roll singer or a straight singer, you can be up one day and down the next. And I think the main thing is to do exactly what they want. In maybe 2 years' time, if they don't want rock and roll anymore, then I shall try and do whatever they want. You're really just a servant to the people. They mold my career, as everybody knows. The fans are the ones that make you do what you want to do. It just so happens at the moment I can't get over the fact that I'm earning money doing the stuff that I really like to do, you know. I don't know how long it'll last and how long my fans will carry on wanting rock and roll, but as long as they do, then we'll give it to them.
And then we made Living Doll. So within 6 months of starting, and Living Doll broke him, you know, to a family audience, really.